One of the best parts of Overlord, among the dozens and dozens of quality aspects that this show has going on, is the accidental world domination. The way Ains as a character gets thrown deeper and deeper into world domination, mostly due to other people thinking he's doing something, and then at that point he kind of has to commit to it. And with that thought process, it's always interesting because Overlord branches off from just Ains' perspective. We get to see people on his side, people he's going up against, and an episode like this focused on the Emperor is a pretty good indication of we're basically following, in any other show, the characters who would defeat the big evil, the undead king trying to take over. And when he pops up and it ruins his entire plan, it looks like the most tactical, big brain move, and it very well could be. But knowing what we know about Ains, every time you see something like that, I love the fact that there's like a 50-50 coin toss of he might have planned that, he might have accidentally just solved an issue without even trying. And the fact that he can accidentally basically just shit on this man's entire dreams and just make him look like a fool and play him like a fiddle as he's about to defeat who should be the undefeatable champion, the man really does get the job done. And for being just bone, he definitely has more flesh on his skin than I feel like this Emperor does, especially given the hair loss that's going on from stress. I love this episode, and I mean, this season in general just gave me some really good vibes, given that it was going to focus more on the Empire and everything like that. I think just the setting of side characters that we'd see in this season would be more interesting when we branched off than in prior seasons. Not to say that I didn't like seasons 2 and 3 when they branched off between Village, Lizardman, and everything like that. But I love the fact that what is happening in setup here makes sense, right? And in any other show, probably would work out. You have these temples who recognize that a skeleton, an undead king, someone who can summon an army of these knights who literally no one can defeat unless you have, a couple of these very powerful warriors. But even then, that doesn't really give you the confidence that it's enough to really defeat him. Just maybe his skeleton army here of undead powerful knights. And to see how they had this meeting scheduled, which makes a lot of sense given the fact that you're basically an ally to Ains. You're an ally to the person who, with a flick of his finger, could probably kill you. And I love the fact that he's trying to figure out a way to defeat him, because he realizes that he can't be trusted. He realizes that he's far too dangerous, and at any moment he could be killed and disposed of. The thing that makes, I think, an episode like this so interesting is that it makes him look like the biggest fool, but when you really pull away and say, we never followed Ains up until this point, not much of what he's doing or saying would look all that off. It would look like someone who really is just going up against someone who's the final boss and is outplaying them, is stronger. But I mean, if we make the right allies, if they have some secret tomes or something that we could use, maybe we'll be able to defeat Ains. And to see how in a matter of moments, whether intentionally or unintentionally, he can shatter those dreams, it's insane to see, because they are doing such a good job of making the Emperor look like a fool, look like someone who has no control over the situation anymore. And for someone who was arguably the most powerful person for a long time, to have it so quickly over a season and some odd episodes just shattered to the point that I wouldn't be shocked if by the end of this season this man is bald. And this man has a good head of hair. And the fact that they're showing it multiple times that he's literally pulling his hair out. And the animation. Now, these are the episodes that won't get hyped up for animation quality because it wasn't a big action episode, right? It was dialogue focused. But the most impressive animation I sometimes find is the dialogue stuff, when they really get across the body reaction and the body language. If you go back and really focus in on the Emperor and how he goes from paranoid to lashing out, to trying to be cool, calm, and collected, to then also just, the final moments of this episode pretty much says it all. He was a moment away from jumping off the ledge there and just killing himself and giving himself a nice, easy way out because he's just done with the bullshit. They did such a great job at showing such a fearful person, and as everyone's leaving the room being like, yeah, you're clearly working with him, why would we trust you? just the fear in this man, not only just from his amazing voice acting, but just the reactions in his character was completely spot on. And it was so amazing to see because I honestly thought this episode wouldn't be nearly as exciting as it turned out to be, but I thought it would be a good setup episode. Look at the first 5 minutes of this episode, give or take. I mean, essentially, for her anyway, Albedo is pretty much assuming that they're married at this point. Let's be honest, a kiss on the cheek, which really is just teeth and literally a skull just rubbing on her cheek. That is a kiss to the cheek to her, and the idea that she asked for a kiss, fully expecting to be rejected, and then he ended up doing it, and the fact that she got even more like, holy shit, I'm actually making progress. In a different reality, it is entirely possible, had he refused that kiss, she would have backed off a little more. Not completely, because obviously if we go back to the beginning of season 1, he did alter her to be in love with him, right? That's probably never going to change, but the difference between not kissing her and kissing her is literally night and day, because now it feels like she really believes, like, holy shit, if I asked for a ring, I'd probably get it. If I asked for sex, I would probably get it. And just to see the man just go from like, what, when he's freaking out, you get the green aura again, the servant next to him, he's like, forget everything you've seen. That was absolutely comedy gold. To be honest, I was kind of expecting that it would be more of an Albedo focused episode, just given the way they're kicking it off, the way they ended last week, and just everything that was transpiring. I was like, oh, it's going to be probably more focus on the Philip stuff and everything like that, but I love how big this world actually is and how it feels bigger than one character's story, and that's why you can easily shift to the Emperor, or you can shift to Ains, and you can do all these different things. And it really does feel like this man accidentally conquering the world in probably the best way I can refer to in the anime medium. It is absolutely fantastic to follow. And honestly, Overlord has been on a roll in all 3 of these episodes. I really feel like they're as close to perfect as they need to be, and I'm so excited to see what they're going to do in the later portions of this season. I mean, obviously we know the other arc that, because I think this season kind of jumps ahead a little bit because they are doing an Overlord movie, which is adapting a couple of the light novels there. But given how it just naturally transitions from season 3 to 4, definitely feels like it's working okay, all things considered. And given the fact that I think the Empire content and, you know, the way season 3 ends with him kind of succeeding in the biggest way possible up to that point, this setting and this political side of things is the most interesting that Overlord has seen to date. And given the fact that you can take someone who across his entire life feels like he was the most powerful person. I mean, he's someone who everyone worships and thinks of as a good warrior, a good strategist, everything like that. Look at him getting cheered on by the people in the crowd because they hear that he's there. And I wouldn't be shocked if next week comes around and we switch the focus around and Ains is like, oh shit, he's up there? This could work in my advantage. Or if it was actually his plan. That's kind of the brilliance of this show, is that things fall into place either accidentally or on purpose. And no matter which one of those is the case, I think they're just as interesting because you don't have an idiot main character. He is someone who's quite clever, and even when he's not maybe the one being clever, he can use that to make himself seem that way, and it's pretty fantastic to follow. I love this episode, man. I really thought it was bang on, and I'm excited to see what they do with the fight. It'll be interesting to see how the animation looks for that action scene, as Overlord can be a hit or a miss with how they do 2D and 3D. Sometimes all 3D, sometimes a little bit of an incorporation based on the quality of the 3D models we've seen so far. Definitely seems a bit better than what Overlord is typically used to. Even the general carriage scenes, like with the 3D horses and stuff, definitely doesn't look quite as bad as like maybe the first couple of seasons look. So I'm excited to see what they decide to pull with it. But Overlord, top tier anime, still 10 out of 10 if you ask me. Very much enjoying it, but thoughts down below. But if you're a fan of that light novel or if you're anime original, do let me know. Be sure to leave a like if you enjoyed and subscribe if you're new around here. Until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.